Welcome to the Real Female Entrepreneurs. Today's guest is bringing brains, body wisdom, and a whole lot of cycle savvy brilliance to the conversation. She leads Cyclisity, a fertility awareness method charting app designed with engineering precision and real life women in mind, just like you. Even better, Cyclicity was co-founded with Toni Weschler, author of the best-selling Taking Charge of Your Fertility. So this app isn't just smart, it's officially aligned with the fertility book that changed everything. Please welcome the amazing Sabrina Nowicki. Hey, Sabrina. Oh my God, I cannot wait to get into this. This is going to be so much fun.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on the show, Angel.
So tell me how the company got started and the book and everything else, if you don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. So, for those listening, Toni Weschler, the author of Taking Charge of Your Fertility, is actually my aunt. So, it's really become one like family business that we're really proud of. And how it got all started is actually a very personal story that I have. And I'll go back to actually my childhood. And so if you think about, aunts and uncles, I feel as though a lot of them, celebrate your birthdays big or celebrate holidays big, but not Toni Weschler. She decided that she was going to celebrate the day I got my period big. And so we actually have a tradition that's still going to this day where every year since I got my first period, she's taken me out to lunch and we go to different cuisines, and the whole lunch is about like celebrating becoming a woman and what it means to be a woman, and just womanhood in general, what's going on in our lives that year, how we're growing. And so that's kind of a tradition that she built for us, and it's been really fun. And actually 18 years into that tradition, one of those lunches, Toni was mentioning how she really wished that she had built an app that went directly with the book, and there was like a symbiotic relationship between the book and the app. And when I was sitting there listening to her talk about this, I was just thinking to myself, wait a minute, like I have an engineering background, I have a product design background, I work in tech, as well as my husband actually has been to medical school, has a med background, and as well as he worked in biotech venture capital, but also really understands the business side. And so I was sitting there thinking, wait, Toni, like I actually feel like we have the perfect team to bring your vision to life. And if you read Toni's book, she actually teaches about how to chart with pencil and paper, which is still a wonderful way of charting. But we're in the modern world, a lot of people don't really carry paper and pencils around. The phone is with you all the time. And a lot of readers have asked her for years for a book app that went directly with the book. And so, after being asked over and over, and her realizing that, our app would really help a lot of women, we just decided that this was the right time to bring her vision to life.
Wow. Okay. So I love the fact on a day that sometimes most mothers dread talking to their daughter about, that your
Yes.
aunt did a big celebration and just changed the
Yes.
whole phenomenal of your brain thinking about it instead of, oh
Hmm.
no, this is going to be miserable.
Exactly. That's right.
So I love the mentality of that. I love the app as well. Let me ask you something. If somebody knows when they started their cycle, and I'm probably going to be adding something to your app. I do this sometimes, just so you know. Is there like a celebration thing that it comes out and does a big pop and celebrate your day or something?
We don't have that now, but like you said, you might have just added a new feature onto our list of feature list coming up. I love it.
That would be so much fun. And X, where are you going to celebrate?
Yeah. Yeah. How
Just like
cute. Yeah,
your
I love
aunt did.
that.
That's so cute. I loved it. I loved how what the spark is and what made it all come true. So your aunt today is how old?
She just turned 70 last year. Yeah,
She
she's been doing this for, I believe, she's been in the women's health field for 35 years. She wrote the first edition of the book. It came out in 95.
she was way before her time.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people credit her for bringing the fertility awareness method into the secular world, which is really cool. One thing that actually really inspired me, and obviously she's my big inspiration for this company and this app, Cyclicity, is that when we would go out to those lunches, we'd be sitting there just minding our own business. And she's actually a very private person. She's gone on a few podcasts with me, but besides that, she really doesn't do any public appearances or anything like that. But even so, we'd be sitting, at lunch, random people would come up to us and be like, hey, like, I don't mean to bother you, but I just want to let you know that you're the reason my son or my daughter is alive today, or you're the reason that I understood what was going on with my body. And seeing that made me realize, she had such a big impact, or has such a big impact in the women's health field and just in society. And that it really inspired me to think about, as my next chapter in life, what do I want to do? And it made me realize that I wanted to have an impact like she did, so that it really changes the world that she is in.
Oh, what a difference that makes. Because I mean, so I always get real with fertility and issues on here. So I personally don't have children of my own. I did raise somebody else's child. However,
Mm.
um, because of and tons of miscarriages. So
Mm.
so
Mhm.
I'm very honest because it happens a lot and it's not a
Absolutely.
conversation that people wanna have. So I'm
Mhm.
open to that on here because this is all about women and understanding who they are, what can happen, what does happen in our life,
Mhm.
and how to maneuver through all that, and that seems like your app actually helps people who are having fertility challenges as well understand their cycles and everything. Can you explain a little bit more into that about the app that would intrigue somebody to say, "Oh my god, I definitely need that."
Yeah, absolutely. And so to do that, I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, explain a little bit about what the fertility awareness method is. And so the fertility awareness method in general is it's really about really understanding your menstrual cycle so that you can determine whether you are or are not fertile on any given day. And then by determining that, you can use that information for different things. You can use it to, you know, time pregnancy so that your chances of pregnancy increases. You can use it to avoid pregnancy naturally, and you can also use it to understand your gynecological health. So by charting, you can actually see patterns to see whether you might have endometriosis, you might have PCOS, and all sorts of other gynecological issues that you might never know unless you were charting. And by charting, you can bring that information to your doctor's visit and really expedite that diagnosis, which can help you, just get better help much sooner. Because sometimes things like endometriosis is really hard to diagnose, and this just really helps with that process. And so to do that, so you might be wondering, how do you track your cycles? Like, what does it mean to actually practice the fertility awareness method? And it's really to track 2 bodily signs or 2 biomarkers, and optionally a third one. So the 2 that you track are cervical fluid and basal body temperature. And what's really cool about this method, it's very scientifically based. So cervical fluid is the fluid or the mucus that your cervix produces. It descends from your cervix, and it changes in quality to becoming more and more fertile as you get closer to ovulation. So it gets from like dry to sticky to creamy to egg white. And egg white is actually a very lubricative. It's very stretchy, and it really does look like raw egg white. And that means you're very close to ovulation, or you might be ovulating. And what's really cool about this is that the reason that's happening is because in the first half of your cycle, your estrogen is increasing, and your estrogen correlates to your cervical fluid quality changing to being more and more fertile. And then the second sign you track is basal body temperature. Toni likes to also call it waking temperatures, because it's the first temperature you take right when you wake up. Before you get out of bed, before you talk, before you go to the bathroom, you just quickly take that temperature around the same time every day. And that takes you the temperature of your resting temperature throughout the night. And what that does is that actually confirms ovulation, because what's really cool is first half of your cycle, your estrogen is increasing, but then it drops down. So your cervical fluid dries up after ovulation. Then progesterone starts increasing, and progesterone is actually a warming hormone, which is why you see your temperature shift pre-ovulatory phase, your temperature is lower, and your post-ovulatory phase, your temperature is higher. So by tracking these and charting these 2 signs, it really helps you determine when your fertile phase is and when you were most likely ovulating. And so by tracking that, and the third sign is called cervical position, and it's just an optional sign because you don't need it to do the method properly, but it's a third sign if you wanted to cooperate the first 2, it's available for you. But some women think it's just a little too involved to track your cervical position, but it's a very cool sign because you can feel your cervix actually getting higher, open, and soft when you're close or about to ovulate, and it gets firmer, lower and harder when you are not in your ovulatory phase. And so by tracking these 2 to 3 signs and charting it, you can see, first of all, if you are even ovulating or not. So, if you're thinking about trying to get pregnant and you might not even ovulating, that's something you need to go and work out with your doctor right away. Because if you're not ovulating, you're not going to get pregnant, but you don't actually know that unless you were tracking your cycles. Or let's say you have like very short luteal phases. Luteal phase is the second half of your cycle. And short luteal phases actually can lead to a miscarriage because it doesn't give the egg enough time to burrow. All of these things are not possible to understand unless you were charting. And what the app does is the app makes the charting a lot easier. So the fertility awareness method, there's rules and guidelines based on the goal you have. So if you are trying to get pregnant, there are really guidelines because you can think about it as like you're trying to target ovulation. So the fertile phase is much shorter. But if you're trying to avoid pregnancy, the fertile phase the fertility awareness follows very strict rules because you want to make sure that there's buffer on both ends to make sure you're being extra safe. And so there's strict rules that you need to follow. Now, these rules and guidelines, the principles of it is very simple, but then there's also sub rules that can get quite complex. Like, I'm not going to get too much into the weeds, but like you can imagine what happens in like certain instances if like your temperature is like not, it goes up and down, and there's specific rules to handle that. The app is running all of those rules for you so that you don't have it all in your head, right? It's like the app is a learning tool. It's an educational tool to help you learn the fertility awareness method. And so our mission is to make the fertility awareness method as accessible as possible to anyone that wants to learn it. And we believe that by using the app, it makes it much easier to learn the method. And what's really cool is like, as you're charting, if you feel like, oh, why is my fertile phase continuing? I thought it should have ended. You could click on that day and it'll tell you the exact rules and guidelines it was running to classify that day a certain way to help you learn the method better. And so with all, like, there's so many apps out there. There's a lot of actually cycle tracking and period tracking apps. And a lot of them, I feel as though it takes the agency away from the woman. And it's very much like, hey, you have a green day or a red day, like just trust us. So you don't need to do anything else. Like, we got it for you. Ours is very different. Ours is all about putting the agency back into your lap and really making sure that you understand the core principles of the fertility awareness method so that you feel empowered in your body. And by having this knowledge, you can, use this knowledge for different things. And if you are trying to get pregnant and are not, at least you have an understanding of what's going on with your cycles so that you can get the help you need much quicker instead of if you weren't charting and you had no idea what was going on. A lot of doctors will tell you, wait a year before coming to see me, but there's no reason you need to wait a year. After 3 to 4 cycles, you should be understanding what's going on with your body and get the help that you need.
Wow. What an education tool that you have compared to so many other tools that are out there. That is
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
How can I get the app? And is it on both platforms or tell them how to do it? Usually I wait to the end, but this is something that people need in their pocket right now. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So where you can get it is the Apple App Store right now. So it's in the United States and Canada. Our dream and goals is really, of course, then after that, expand worldwide. So right now we're working on Celsius to be able to expand worldwide. Then we're going to be working on we're working on the Android app to get it out into the Android world as well. The reason that it's kind of staggered like this is it's actually an explicit decision we made to be self-funded. The reason we chose to be self-funded is because, we really wanted to always be answering to our customers and not our investors. And we felt that the only way to do that is to really have full ownership of the company. And because we're working in such a sensitive space, we wanted to make sure that every woman knew that their data was theirs. And so if you actually go through the setup of Cyclicity, you'll notice that we don't even have access to your data at all, because it's either stored just on your phone for people who don't even want it in the cloud, which makes me a little nervous, because if you lose your phone, you lose your data too. But for people who really are just like, I just want it on my phone, that's an option. And the second one is actually to store it in your own iCloud account, so that it's like as if you were storing your photos. Like, there's no way as a company we have access to that. And to be able to make decisions like this that are very customer focused and mission focused, we felt that it was necessary to be self-funded. And that just means that it takes time to build a little, a lot longer. So it's a longer road, but we felt that it was worth it to be able to always advocate for our customers. And so, yeah, right now it's only on the Apple App Store in the United States and Canada, but we're close to getting it out worldwide, and we're close to getting it out in the Android world as well.
That is amazing. That's gonna be so exciting, and I love the fact that it's on Apple already.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and what do they actually Google? What do they Google? Not Google, what do they put in the App Store to find you?
Yeah. So if you type in Cyclicity, the one thing is Cyclicity is a real word, but it's actually spelled with a C at the end. But we changed the spelling to be Cyclicity with the last C is changed to an S. And the reason being is it means like moving through cycles, which we really liked the meaning of and felt really resonated with your menstrual cycles and the cycles, like, in your life and things like that. But we saw a lot of people when we were testing the name, people when it was a C, people said Cycle City, and we didn't want it to think that it was like a biking app. So that's why we changed the spelling. So if you type in Cyclicity, you should see it. We also call it Cyclicity TCOYF cycle tracker, and that's taking charge of your fertility cycle tracker. And so you should see it pop up there. And we also have our website, cyclicity.com, and that links you to the Apple App Store as well.
That's amazing. All right, let's go a little lighter here and a little bit more fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
A letter to your younger self. If you were to write one, what would you tell her?
I love this. I would definitely say, don't be afraid to take risk. I feel as though I'm actually, grew up more of a risk averse type of personality, but talking to my younger self, you only have one life and you want to live that life to your fullest. And kind of what I was mentioning to you earlier, I went down the corporate life and doing all that, which, is also a great life too. But one thing, working with my aunt and seeing the impact she had by going, writing this book and, working on her own. And I just feel like if I could talk to my younger self, I would tell her to not be afraid of taking more risks and, live big in this one life you have.
Ooh, I like living big. In the one life you have. Just think about that. If you could like live big and do whatever you want, I mean, what would you want? I mean, anybody.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
wild. Yep. All right. A game changer. What's one key decision or habit or strategy that you did that has made a difference in growing your business?
Yes. I actually say it's to be unafraid to be visible. So I felt like for so long I was so afraid of judgment, especially, in this internet age. I was afraid to show up online. I was afraid to show up in podcasts. And really, I had to look inward and be like, my goal is to grow Cyclicity because I really believe in this mission. I believe in the mission of making the fertility awareness method as accessible as possible. And to do that, you really have to show up for yourself, but show up for your business, and show up for the people in your life. And so really not being afraid to go on podcasts like this one, opening up my social media accounts, all of that, I feel like has been the biggest game changer.
Yeah. Okay. Visibility. Oh my God. You just hit my core button inside of me. And that's one reason that I actually have this magazine, is because I always used to try to hide too. And
Yeah.
that is one reason. I have a book coming out. It's actually called Own Your Visibility. It's because
Oh my God, I can't wait to read it.
just because so many women are doing what we did. We had our visibility because we're afraid of what people are going to say or talk about us and stuff. And I mean, we need to not do that anymore.
Totally. I 100% agree. It's definitely easier said than done though. So it just takes some steps. Yeah.
100%. 100%, because we do want to hide. We do.
Yes.
Yeah. We want to protect ourselves.
Right.
All right. So, what's one myth that you wish entrepreneurs would like stop believing? You know, they believe this, and this, and they go jump in and they get all excited. And then, oh my God, it's not what they thought. What is that one myth?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. You know, tying back to what I just maybe said is I feel like I want other entrepreneurs, other women entrepreneurs to know that like you don't have to fundraise to start a business. Like there are other ways to do it. I feel like especially in like the tech world, there's so much hype around and so much status around fundraising and doing your Series A and Series B and that is of course like a great method, but there is another method of self-funding like we are doing, and it is a longer road. It can be a harder road because you know you're having to work other jobs to be able to keep the business afloat until it can stand on its own two legs. But I do think it's much more rewarding because, as I mentioned, it's really important, at least I think it is important to a lot of women founders to be true to your mission and to be a very value-led company. And to do that, I've always wanted to make sure that I'm always answering to my customers and not to my investors. And that's something that's really important to me and my husband and my aunt. And so that is a decision we made early on. And I just want other female entrepreneurs to know that that is a real road that you can take, especially in this world with, you know, advancements in AI. There's so much you can do on your own that you weren't able to before. And so don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to try. And like just that one road you see of people fundraising, that's not the only road to growing a sustainable and successful business.
Yep. So I've been like you. I've always self-funded 100%.
I
So
love that.
yeah. And most of our readers are the same way. They
Oh,
self-fund.
I
So
love
I love
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will resonate with so many people. 100%. All right. Is life a balance for you, or is it a chaos, or is it a blend, or do you believe in it or you don't? Tell me, what do you do, and if you believe in it and how you do it?
Yeah, this is really interesting. I don't know that I believe in it. I work really hard. I mean, I believe in it in the sense that you have to love what you do. So, like, in terms of balance, it's like if you love what you do, then the actual like having to balance is not as necessary. But it's also like you have to make sure you have other hobbies and supplements in your life that is bringing you a lot of joy outside of your work. Like, for example, I love taking dance classes, I love making art, and you know, love being outdoors and spending time with family and friends. So like all of those are big, important parts of my life and I prioritize those, but I also work really hard. And so balance might not be the right word, but you just have to have like a full life so that, you know, it's not draining to have such a demanding work.
So you're a dancer like me, so I call it the dance. So it's like maybe one thing gets a little bit more than attention than the other,
Oh,
and you
I
have to
love this.
sway back and forth depending on
Yes.
what happens. So
Oh my God, I'm going to steal that answer from you from now on. I
you
love that.
can. You can, because life is like a dance and balance is like a dance. We just
Yes.
never
Yes.
know. Yeah. Yeah,
I
it's more
love
about the
that.
flow.
Yes. Yeah. And like just, you know, prioritizing sleep, making sure you're eating healthy, like all of that is still important in that dance. And I think makes that dance much more fun and easier if you are taking care of yourself.
Yep, and I give you permission to use my dance.
Thank you.
All right. What would you say to a woman who's standing right on the edge going, "Oh, I wanna start this business, but I just don't have the money. I'm scared to
Mm,
death, and I don't know what to do." What would you tell her?
mm. Wow. Yeah. You know, I feel like I've been there too. And you just have to take the first step. If, especially with, let's say you're trying to build an app and you don't have a lot of money right now, there's so many, again, AI tools that have come out recently that you don't need that much money to at least like validate your idea. Like it used to be they have to build this whole very expensive app to validate even an idea. But right now, if you're trying to just build a prototype, you don't even need to hire engineers yet. Like you could do that on your own. Of course, if you're trying to build a sustainable business down the road, eventually you do want to have engineers who know what they're doing and all of that. But the first step in a business is to make sure that people are willing to pay for your business or willing to, work with you on a business. And so to validate that through a prototype, you just need to take that first step. Like there's so many learning, you could learn everything on YouTube. Like technology is changing daily. So like the courses and stuff become outdated fast anyways. And a lot of these tools, they teach you how to use it. So you can just like go back and forth with the tool to understand how to use the tool. And there's just so much opportunity right now to just at least get an idea out there in the world. And so my recommendation and my advice is really to take that first step and just try your best. And, there's no such thing as, in my opinion, as like an overnight success. It takes time and a lot of people work really hard at it, even if it looked like an overnight success. And so taking that first step is the very most important thing.
I love your saying that. I was on a course this past week, and the person said because of AI, we're looking at just using our vision of what we see and our creativity to make it come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're
I
saying
love
just
that.
that's the same thing. If you
Yeah.
have that vision and that creativity, you can learn and understand just about anything to make it come to true and to life and to live.
Yeah, exactly. And like the truth is like nobody knew what they were doing when they were starting, like you don't have to have everything. Like of course you need to do your research and understand the space and all of that, but like you don't have to have every answer to get started. That's like I think talking back to my younger self too, that's something I wish my younger self knew, because I feel like especially a lot of women, there's always talks about when you see like a job description, a lot of women feel like they have to hit every single line to even apply, because they feel like, oh, I don't qualify for this role if I don't have this one bullet point. I don't understand. I don't know how to do this. But like, that's not like a lot of men apply knowing just like 50%. They're like, oh, I hit 50% of this and I can just learn the rest. And I want more women to have that mentality, because you really don't need to have all the answers. Part of the biggest learning comes from doing the work. And so by starting, you're able to learn as you do the work.
Yeah. Yep, it's jumping in feet first, making a mess,
Yes.
and cleaning it up.
Yes.
I I have this tech girl that I will tell you that this is how I describe her to people. She gets in, she breaks it, and then fixes it and makes it perfect.
I love that. Yeah, she probably is learning from the mistakes she's making too.
Yes, she is. All right. What about a woman who has been in business for a while and she is just ready to throw in the towel? She's done.
Mm,
Suggestions for
yeah,
her?
I think, yeah, I would go back to what I just said, which is not this whole idea that like an overnight success happens is not true. Like it takes years before you see the light at the end of the tunnel. I would encourage her not to give up yet, because you might just be like couple steps before you see that light. And, part of it is you sometimes just have to push through, and being an entrepreneur is definitely hard and grueling, but when you can showcase to the world the things you built and the legacy you're leaving, it's going to be so worth it.
Oh, that is so true. I love your legacy that you're leaving for others. That is
Thank
great.
you.
That is fabulous. Think of the future and just know that you're doing it not only for today, but down the line as well. That
Yes,
is
totally.
perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Let's pull back the velvet curtain and look behind and see what is happening to you in the future. What's a sneak peek that's happening? Besides, you're going to do the birthday celebration. I already know that's coming.
Yeah, right. Besides the first period celebration, I for at least for Cyclisity, as I mentioned, we're really excited to open it up worldwide and getting it out into Android. We're also really excited because in the future we want to make also educational materials online. So Tony's book is wonderful, but in today's day and age, a lot of people don't actually learn from reading. It feels they really like video materials and like interactive materials online. So we hope to be able to bring more avenues to make the fertility awareness method as accessible as possible. So because that is our mission, one avenue is through the book, one avenue is through the app, but we want to have other avenues as well. So hopefully like an educational modules that would come in the future. And then finally, one day we would really love to run a clinical trial to show the efficacy of the fertility awareness method, specifically the one that Toni teaches in her book, as well as alongside the app Cyclisity. And the reason for that is we really want to move the women's health field forward, and we feel that that could really help with one aspect of that to be able to move it forward. Women's health has always been so underfunded. So if we can, have a part in moving that aspect forward, that would be really wonderful.
Wow. All right. I think that's fabulous. And I think most gynecologists would jump on board with you on that.
I hope so. Yeah.
All right. Tell us something unexpected about you that my audience is going to go, wait, she did what?
Unexpected. Well, I think people might find it unexpected that English is actually not my first or my second language. It's my third language because I am actually half Chinese, half Austrian Jew, but I was born and raised in Japan. And so that's, I guess, something that's unexpected about myself.
Wow. So first is what?
Japanese,
Second?
Mandarin, Chinese,
Chinese.
and then
Okay.
English.
And then English. Wow. Wow. That is amazing. I love when people speak multitudes of languages. It just, it really, I just love it. I just think that it brings an excitement to the world, and globally, it gives us the opportunity to actually communicate worldwide.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Absolutely.
And I mean, since we're in 48 countries, I am shocked by how many people speak more than 4 languages.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I feel like it's very common in like Europe and, and like even in China, my mom also speaks like 2 different dialects. Like India has a bunch of dialects. And so, or it's funny that they call it dialect, so it's really more like separate languages because it's like you can't really understand the other dialects. So yeah, it is really cool to understand how people interact with languages and how many people speak throughout the world. It's very, I feel like, unique to the US that we only speak English.
I know, I know, I know. I have a goal list and I haven't done them yet, but they're still
It's
there. I
okay.
haven't given up.
Yeah.
Right. So let's pump up some volume with a go-to song or songs that you actually love.
Okay, so I have 2. The first one is First Love by Utada Hikaru. It's a Japanese artist, and the reason I love it is because it makes me feel grounded because it just reminds me of my childhood so much. And there's small parts of it that are English, but it's mostly in Japanese, and it's a very beautiful song. And it was an artist that is still popular, but was really popular when I was growing up in Japan. And then my second song might be a very millennial answer, but Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield always puts me in a good mood and feel like very unstoppable.
Very good. I love that. All right. Books or a book or books. We already know your aunt's is called what again?
Taking Charge of Your Fertility.
All right. And then is there another book or books that you love?
Yeah. So obviously, like you said, Taking Charge of Your Fertility is what inspired my business, our business, Cyclisity, but also just for me to be really in touch with my body. So that's definitely up there on the list. Personally, too, I was very inspired by this book called Born a Crime by Trevor Noah because he talks about his experience of being biracial, and it was the first book that where I felt very seen by reading a book. And what's funny is he brings a lot of humor into the book. It's a hilarious book. And he talks about a lot of pretty heavy topics in a very humorous way and just brought so much joy and connection into the way I feel about who I am as a biracial person.
Wow. That sounds unique. I cannot wait to read that. That's going to be fun.
It's funny. Yeah, you'll love it. I love it.
All right, words to live by or quote?
The quote that I love is, and you might not find it surprising after our conversation, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. It's by a Chinese philosopher, and it's a Chinese proverb, and the whole idea of like you could have big dreams and all of that, but you have to take the first steps to start that dream to bring it into reality.
This ring says
Yeah.
exactly that.
No way. We are the same person.
I wear this
That's
ring all the time.
crazy. I need to get a ring like yours.
I'm gonna have to find it again, but yeah, exact
Yeah,
same.
that's crazy.
That's crazy. All right, a superpower. If you had it for just 24 hours, what would you want to be? What would you want it to be?
I would want to be able to teleport because, with having a very multicultural background means that I have family and friends throughout the world. And it's hard I love spending time with family and friends. And so be able to teleport and be able to do that would be a dream come true.
Oh wow, that'd be so cool. Pop, 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 pop. And
Yeah,
then you could bring them all with you to one place too.
it would be the best.
And then pop
Yeah.
them back.
Yeah.
All right. If you believe in motivation on demand, what do you do to get motivated?
Mm. A lot of times it's really just stepping back from my work, like whether that is going on a walk in nature, going on a run, even going to a workout class or going to a dance class. Like I feel like my motivation comes back to me after I step away. I feel like that's true actually for a lot of people in the creative field. So especially if I'm like doing more creative work, like designing a part of the app or designing something that's, unique to something specific. Sometimes you have to like step away and just like clear your mind and do activities that are separate so that the motivation comes back so that you can be much more creative in your endeavors. And so it feels counterintuitive, but it's really just like stepping away from the work that helps me come back more motivated.
Yep. I'm the same way. Mine's definitely a dance class. Get excited.
Yeah.
All right. What is the best way for our audience to stay connected with you?
Yeah. So the best way is I am on all social media platforms as Wandering Sabrina as my like CEO founder account, and then we also have our business account, which is Cyclisity. So it's Cyclisity on Instagram and everywhere except for I believe on TikTok it's Cyclisity app. And so you can find us there. You can also email us at support@cyclicity.com, and there's also like a form you could fill out on our Cyclicity website.
Wow, that's amazing. So, final mic drop for our audience. Is there anything that you want to share with our female entrepreneurs that maybe we didn't talk about yet?
Yeah. I guess like being in the fertility awareness method world and being all about cycle tracking, one thing that I want, women entrepreneurs to understand is that, we're all very unique. And I'm coming from like the lens of cycle tracking, but even just through how you create your business. What I mean by that is, my cycles are actually different from yours, and it's actually different within my own cycle. So we're not robots. Every single day is different. And so by tracking your cycles, there's a lot of things now called like cycle syncing, where, people talk about doing more like creative work in your follicular phase, which is your first phase, or like doing more like HIIT workout and things like that in specific phases. It's very cool to be able to look at my body, understand my cycles, and understand when is the best time to do certain types of work. It's Sometimes I do think cycle syncing is overhyped because a lot of people don't actually track their cycles. So I feel like it's not actually working in their favor if they're just relying on an app. But if you rely on something like the fertility awareness method and using an app that supports that, then you can actually tune into your body and do the best work you can depending on where you are in your cycle. And I think that's just so fun and so powerful. So that might be something that other women entrepreneurs would like to look into.
I love that. That is amazing, Sabrina. I loved having you on here. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was great being here.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.